Hey everybody, I'm Jay Jones,
And I'm LT.
and we are the Dose Offensive Gentlemen. Now let's talk about some shit. Hey everybody, welcome back to DOG. It's been a little while since we did a podcast.
Yeah.
I guess life gets in the way.
Yeah, definitely. We've been really busy, work and other commitments, and we haven't got to sit down and talk shit for a while.
Or drink whiskey.
Or drink. Well, no, we always drink whiskey. That really never goes away.
Well, not hardly together.
We didn't do it.
We
didn't get to do it together. And that's what's most important.
Absolutely. And podcast.
And podcast.
But yeah, so we have a pretty good whiskey today. I've only had a little bit. You've had damn near half the bottle so far.
I don't know what you're talking about. First of all,
okay.
I was here to test for quality assurance.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It required several samples to ensure the proper quality of this drink for our consumption.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm really glad that you QA'd this.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sacrifices.
But I could have told you that this was going to be a good one. So today we have a. It sounds really expensive, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Expensive.
So it is the Balvenie Triple Cask 16-year. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, I like saying that. who are just tuning in, we have had a few different Balvenies on the podcast. The Doublewood 12 and the Caribbean Cask are really the only two that we've had. And they're both good. My favorite's probably the Doublewood. I think it just has a lot more flavor. But we'll see where the triple, where it ranks.
Can I get my favorite after we do the triple cast?
Sure.
I think by that answer you already know what my favorite of the ones.
It's this one. It's this one.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So let's go ahead and have a sip. Our first little tasting. Well, my first. You've been on it already, but to keep up with the tradition at the DOG.
Yes.
We are doing the toast.
The toast. All right. So here's our toast. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Raise your glasses. Here's to lobster, tail, and beer. 3 of my favorite things.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I like seafood.
Ooh. So before we get into before we get into the background on it, we were just like, this week we are pairing. Well, actually, we usually don't announce when we're pairing with, but this week
sometimes we do. Yeah, we do.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah.
But this week we are pairing it with a whiskey cheese.
Yes. Which
actually surprised me because I am, as I told, I said before that whiskey-based or alcohol-based cheeses tend not to be good. But this one is
it's good.
It's actually pretty good.
I mean, there's not a lot of whiskey in there.
Yeah.
But it's still delicious. So, funny story before we get into that about the cheese. So I recently had my parents here for a while. They were here for about 6 weeks. And, I want my parents to go and see some stuff. And so I take my mom, because my dad wanted to stay home. So I take my mom out to Netherlands, like the big tulip festival at Keukenhof. And that is an excellent place to go, especially for like a day trip. It is probably one of my favorite areas to go. Not necessarily the Keukenhof. Keukenhof's very nice, but Netherlands, I just love being there. I don't want to say it feels like home because that'd be weird, but it feels like natural being there.
Well,
like everything's so convenient. People speak English. It's
they're very friendly.
Very friendly, yeah, and it's just like it's just very welcoming. So anyway, one of the stops that we made along the way was to a cheese farm, I guess you could say, where they did everything in house. They had the barn with all the cows out front, and then they had they showed us the entire process of milking the cow. The milk then goes into a reservoir or directly into the big vat that they make everything in, and they told us about the different kinds of cheese they made. So, being the cheese lover that I am, because I'm Caucasian, we love cheese. I had to get like several wheels of cheese. So I got like, well, I don't know if they're wheels, but they're good little chunks of cheese. And so one was the whiskey, because whiskey. Then I also got one called Farmer's Flame, which we also tried earlier. That was like a jalapeno,
really
red chili. Yeah, that's delicious though. So we also got some other ones, and it was really, really good place. And then we got off to the to Kuchenhof, and Kuchenhof was like, man, it was so nice, so pretty, raining, and I did not have an umbrella. Luckily, I had like my little water or my water resistant jacket, but we got soaked because there's really nowhere to stand if you're out in the middle of nowhere. And then the rain took a little break, and we're like, all right, cool, we'll duck into the gift shop and grab a poncho. Did that, came back out, sunshine. Motherfucker, are you serious? But so that was a fun little trip, and I got some cheese, and then I actually looked at whiskey. There's a whiskey, there's a little whiskey section, I guess you could say, on the in the souvenir shop area. But I wasn't gonna buy any of that. Yeah. Like I'm already a snob. I'm already a snob. But yeah, so like I'm really glad the whiskey came out as good as it did, because if it came out bad, I would have totally blamed this on somebody else.
Well, I was saying, like, through my travels, I've tried several, alcohol-based cheeses. I've tried wine cheese, beer cheese, snop cheese, and none of them, they've all been horrible, especially the beer cheese. So I highly recommend anyone who goes to Prague and they go to the monastery for the beer, try the beer cheese on me.
Yes, please. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, but you should try it.
It should definitely be on your bucket list.
Misery loves company.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so to the Scotch.
Yes, to the Scotch. So this is like we said earlier, the Balvenie Triple Cask. Whew, man, got to catch my breath after that. All right, so it is originally released for travel retail. Balvenie 16-year-old triple wood is aged in a combination of wood types: refill American oak cask, first fill bourbon barrels, and first fill Oloroso sherry butts, resulting in a sweet and spicy whiskey. So on the Whiskey Exchange, it rates the style and the character of the whiskey. So the body is a 3 out of 5, I believe. The body is a 3, richness 4, 0 smoke, 3 sweetness, and then for the character piece, it has cherry, almond, and dry fruit. Now I'm gonna take another sip and see if I can. If I can find some of those notes.
Me too. I'm gonna take another sip.
Yeah. Found it. Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Definitely the almonds and cherries. You can taste those right off the back. And zero smoke.
And zero smoke, yeah. So I was actually talking with a listener, one of our listeners of the podcast. Recently had dinner with him, and he's not a whiskey or Scotch drinker at all. And he was just like, when you guys talk about peaty and smokiness, like I don't know what that means. I'm like, oh, that's something we can change very quickly. Like you take one sip and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Especially if we have like a little whiskey tasting or something like that. People, it's just an extremely obvious tasting note that you'll be able to do. It's just you never have had that experience before. But he seemed interested in that, and so maybe a podcast idea. We do a whiskey tasting with like newbies, if we can get more people on the show.
Yeah,
with whiskey or with newbies, and then see how they like it, which may be interesting because, like, different palates, right?
Yes, different palates with the taste. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, we definitely have plenty of whiskey to go around.
We do, and I can always get more.
And we can always
always get more. So another thing. So the Balvenie is a Speyside Scotch, which means that it's along the Spey River in Scotland, which is east of Inverness. If you don't believe me, you can look it up because I did. But I mean, it's a good one. I do like it. But I think I would put the double wood ahead of it.
That's because you're a horrible person and
No.
your soul is black. This is
I am made of darkness.
This is delicious.
No, I'm not saying it's not delicious.
No. Hold on. I need you to go with me on this one. Hold on.
This is delicious.
This is, oh my God. I like the double wood.
Yeah.
I like the Caribbean Cask,
Yeah.
of course.
Mm-hmm.
Lord have mercy. But I love this. I love it.
Yeah. So recommend you guys check it out and see what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I highly recommend you buy all three, taste them, so you can tell
Right.
my partner here how wrong he is.
Or not. We'll see how that goes.
No, this is a one-sided thing. This is
No.
This is definitely.
This is not a us versus them.
This is definitely.
LT, this is not a us versus them. Damn it, we're in this together.
Not when it comes to whiskey.
No. If anything, we are way together in that. All right? We've had too much whiskey on this show for you to start drawing a line now.
That's true. This is how breakups start.
He didn't like the triple.
Didn't like the triple cast.
What an idiot.
He said the double wood was better.
No, hey, man.
Podcast over.
Yeah. I'm never coming back. Hey, man, some people like Edredor more than they like triple cast.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
Those are not humans. Those are not people.
They're meta-humans if they do that, because that's
that's
cray.
Well, it could be worse. They could like Palinka over.
You mean paint thinner. God, that's exactly what that is.
I think
exactly what that is.
I constantly say I keep trying to build a collection of
Disgusting
liquor.
drinks.
Well, not disgusting drinks, but of just have a good liquor collection, because my problem is when I only buy things that I like, and if I like it, I'm gonna drink it. Like I know some people like, oh, I gotta.
So not really a collection then.
Yeah,
just it's a lot of.
I guess my stash. I don't know, but you have a lot of people. They have bars at home and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I gotta stock the bar with this. I'm like, well, why would I buy something I don't like to drink? You know what I mean?
Right, but I like you see my collection.
Yeah.
Right. I have all that. It's not that big, but it's all scotches.
Right.
But by the way, that's not what she said. So
I was actually about to get to it. You beat me to it.
I saw the look.
I was about to
yeah, you get talking, yeah. But no, so I mean, I buy it, but I don't drink it all, and I think that's just your problem. You have a drinking problem.
First of all, I think it's
a drunk thing. It's not
maybe you mind your business.
No. See, no. See, it's not that you drink; it's that you run out. That's the problem.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
But
and it's that you want a collection, but you just keep going through it so fast.
Yeah. Well, the Palinka has a permanent fixture.
That's
on the collection.
20 years later, you're gonna move that bottle. It's gonna have like this giant dust ring around it.
Seriously, both bottles are generally, even when we taste bottles here, we usually go through about a half.
Yeah, I think we did a glass, and that was just because of the podcast.
Yeah,
like a glass.
That was like a glass, and we were just like, oh, okay,
no.
Complete Palinka.
That's a fucking wrap.
That's a wrap, son. But yeah,
but the triple cast is good. It's good. I'm probably gonna add a little bit of water to it, make it a little bit, because it is 40%.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a pretty stiff cocktail.
I'll put a little drop in here and see how that changes the flavor.
Boop. Boop. And for anybody who is just now tuning in, I'm saying it like 50 times this podcast. For anybody that's just joining us, whenever you hear a clink in the glass, that means that we are drinking, and you need to drink with us. Yep. That's really what it comes down to, even if you're driving. Okay.
No,
That's
do not
That's
do
it.
that.
No.
Do not drink.
No,
and drive.
I'm gonna be not at separate times. During.
No, at separate. We want them to drink and drive separately, not at the same time.
I'm getting all this mixed up.
Okay, because you know way things are going nowadays. Someone's gonna get in a car and say like, "Well, I was listening to the DOG and they wanted us to drink and drive, so I'm suing them for $5 gajillion."
Yes, but they're also called offensive. So go fuck yourself. That's exactly how my reply to that little like lawsuit would be. Just a giant middle finger.
Hey, they're like, we're called those offensive gentlemen, and you took life advice from us.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like,
we drink whiskey and talk about shit.
Yes.
Literally, the intro is now. Let's talk about some shit. Like, don't. I mean, it's cool if you listen to us and you take our word as law. But don't sue us. That's a dick move. As in bird culture.
That is a dick.
All right. And bird culture.
Oh, we could probably start our own cult though. You ever thought about that?
Actually, all the time, but it's actually frowned upon.
I don't know. What's the girl name from Smallville? God, I forgot her name. But she just recently she joined the sex cult, and she's been in the news a lot lately.
But I'm curious, did she know it was a sex cult?
I mean, how do you not know it's a sex cult? And apparently, like, this guy was, like, sort of, like, really hardcore. Like, I'm serious. Like, he would, like, brand the women, sort of thing. Yes.
Like, literally put his mark on them?
Like, put a mark on them. He would brand them. And all sorts of crazy thing. And the women had to go out and recruit other women to bring into the cult.
Yo, that's a harem. And that is, like,
Look, that dude's living the dream.
I mean, yeah,
I know.
Yeah, no, like, in all honesty, like, he is going after what he wants. Like that, like, you have to admire that kind of motivation. No. However, it is a really fucked up thing.
It is a very as someone who's very, I'm very adamant or vehement. But fuck, I can't talk. I'm against cults.
In general, yeah, like the Heaven's Gate, the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and I could talk about my own experiences, at another time. But, I in the same note, as much as I'm against cults, I'm also sitting here thinking, what straight or man at some point in his life has not fantasized about having a bunch of women, all over him at his beck and call.
Yeah, that's the dream part.
That's the dream, and he's living it. So it's like at one point you're like, you know what you're doing is pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you're like, damn, you had the balls to actually do it.
Yeah. Speaking of balls, it's gonna move us right into our one of our prime stories for today. So in the UK, UK military training, like basic military training for here in the U.S. There was we'll call him a drill instructor because I'm not sure on his actual title, but we'll say like the drill instructor.
Well, I think his actual rank, he's definitely a drill instructor. I think his actual rank was a corporal.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, are they still called drill instructors? Are they called like something else?
I don't know.
Yeah. So apparently he took a video of him yelling at a recruit, and then the recruit ended up crying, and it went viral, and now they're trying to get this guy on a court-martial for making her cry. Or really, I don't think it's for making her cry. I think it's more for recording it and then
putting it out there.
Which is, to
me,
I'm kind of like, so?
Yeah, it's not okay, if you want to discipline him for recording it and putting it out there, I can see that. But several people are calling for a court-martial and for him to be separated from the Army. I'm like, it's not that serious, fam. Yeah. It's definitely not that serious.
Yeah, and
not for a court-martial. So just real quick, if it's not, so in the U.S., a court-martial is a felony offense. It's a really big deal. It's a you're gonna, if you get court-martialed, you're a felon. You are, and that's a very big deal. A lot of your rights are taken away. You can't own guns. Yada 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 yada. It's a very big deal for them to pursue a court-martial. Now in the UK, it might be different. I don't know, But when I hear court martial, that's what my frame of reference. And when you say that, I'm like, this is not that level of offense.
Well, I imagine it being the same, if not very, very similar to the UK. I mean, because a lot of the military structure is based off of the UK, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, obviously.
But I mean, we do some things differently. Like for instance, one thing I do remember,
We win. That's what we do differently. We win.
Woo,
Zing.
That's right, boom.
Okay.
Undefeated. No.
There was that one time back in NAM, but we're not going to talk
about that. We don't talk about that one too much. We call that one a draw.
or the Bay of Pigs, or...
But no, they do things differently. It's like for one of the things they do in the British military that I know for sure, working with some troops and deployments and training and stuff like that, is they hold the merits really big. So for instance, hey, you didn't come up, you didn't shine your boots. All right, boom, demerits, dock your pay. And it's a real quick thing. Like, all right, no, you didn't shine your boots. All right, demerit, go. They're gonna dock your pay.
That's crazy.
Hey, you don't remember to shine your damn boots.
That's true. That's true. You'll. I mean, that's another thing. It's all about the discipline, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know the standards and the expectations that are expected of you, then shine your boots, press your uniform.
Yeah.
Shave your face, cut your hair, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. But so in this one, the only reason I think they're really pushing this hard for a court martial is because the recruit was a female.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it was a male recruit and this happened to, and he broke down in tears,
they would have laughed at him.
They would have laughed.
It'd be on a YouTube fail compilation, and then nobody would know about it.
And the thing is, this is my thing. If you are truly a champion of equality or whatnot, you should not. Your reaction to both of these should be the same, whether it's positive or negative, whether you approve of it or not. Personally, I approve of the video because, as a former Army instructor myself, and having to turn civilians into soldiers, one of the things I don't care about is your feelings. You have a job to accomplish. You have a task to accomplish. You're going to accomplish it. And my job is to put you in the most stressful environment possible so that you can accomplish that mission. Because what we're doing, and we hate to be objective and put it really blunt like this, I am literally trying to prepare you to go to war, to kill or be killed. And at that time, when you're on the battlefield, that is not the time to worry about your feelings. You have to accomplish this task under a lot of stress. So the yelling, the cursing, they talked about how vulgar he was in the video, and then he wasn't like overly vulgar. If you've seen Full Metal Jacket, you know exactly what we're talking about here.
Oh yeah.
This is pretty much the level he's on, and she is having a breakdown doing this bayonet course now. I don't know, did you guys have to do bayonet course?
No.
All right.
No, we took cardboard boxes, made them into airplanes, and then ran around the parking lot.
You know what? And I actually probably believe that.
Yeah, you probably would, because that's the kind of probably shit that would happen.
Happen.
We had what was called a Warrior Week.
Warrior Week.
Yeah, it was. You can't see this, but I'm doing like the jerk off motion because that's pretty much all it was. It was. It was cool at the time because you got out of the dorms and you got out of the traditional bays or the building. Kind of went out to the air conditioned tent. And because we were roughing it, man. It was a big tent, but it was a tent. And we did obstacle course and stuff like that. But something that we've talked about before, we didn't really have any of the firearms training. We didn't really have really any exposure to any manual labor, and that sucked. Like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to go in and do something.
Yeah.
But
well, I had to go in most Army crew recruits, and I'm pretty sure the Marines that do it also. But we had to. One of the things you did is your bayonet course, and it's to teach you. It's to teach you the aggression, and you are supposed to be aggressive. You're supposed to go in there and you're supposed to stab this thing with your bayonet. these dummies and stuff like that, and you're running through an obstacle course with a rifle with a pointy bayonet at the end that is sharp. There's no fake here. And, you're going to come in and you have one where you parry, thrust, doing like that. Hit him, butt stroke to the head, boom, boom, boom. And and it's just constantly, and they'll be like, show me your war face. And you're like, ah. It's all about getting your aggression up. You got chants and indoctrination, what makes the grass grow green? Blood makes the grass grow green, Drill Sergeant. That sort of thing.
Right.
So I understand the context of the video. Like, this is a bayonet course. This is for you to be aggressive. This is where you're supposed to get your Conan on, your Xena Warrior Princess. And I went to Fort Jackson, aka Relaxin' Jackson. So I had co-ed. It was a co-ed basic training, and that was what we did. It was like you went through and everyone was like, you're supposed to be really pumped up and all that, and they, show you to be aggressive. And the drills are yelling at you. They're calling you everything under the sun. They're here to motivate you. They're here to make it stressful. This is not supposed to be a walking park. All right, soldier, go out here now, and okay, you see that dummy over there? You're gonna parry that arm over. Oh, that's a nice parry. Okay, now strike. Oh yeah,
they're not there to coach you.
Yeah, they're
not
here.
there to like soothe your ego.
No, they're there to motivate you to go out there and, get you in the mindset to kill shit.
Right.
That is your job.
And and I think there's going to be a trend here because both of our stories are about the UK. Yeah, so both of the stories are about the UK right now. And I think they kind of exemplify the sissification of the UK and really kind of Western society that's been happening. I think it was built on the backs of men, but then now since equality, and I say that in a condescending tone, because obviously we don't have equality. It's obviously something we don't have. Again, sarcastic. I'm gonna say that for people that can't really see my facial expressions. But it's one of those things where it seems like now we have to, instead of have this high standard that we hold our citizens to, and like, hey, you will perform at this level, you will do this. These are the things that are important. I feel like we're getting diverted to the lowest common denominator to make everyone feel special, no matter what they've done, and it's it's really stressful because if you want to be a high performer, you're going to be called a lot of names and stuff because you're essentially being seen as putting other people down. If that makes sense, you're doing this at the cause of at the cause of the children or the women or whatever. The expense of somebody.
So, but something like this, right? And I've never been. I'm pretty much someone, if you want to serve in the military, you serve it. I used to joke about, even before, I was like, I don't mind women on the front line. The more if there's more bodies between me and the enemy's bullets, the better, right?
Yeah. Survival, right?
So for selfish reasons. But this sort of gets on my craw because everyone is like, they're upset because they're like, oh, he called her weak and all that. I'm like, yeah, because she was weak.
Not there to empower you. They're to break you down and build you up. That's the entire thing of basic training.
And I used to do this. So, like I said, I was instructor. I used to do this all the time. Not only that, did I take soldiers through this, I was a close combat instructor, things of that nature. And I would go, and I know I'm dealing with recruits. I know I'm turning civilians into soldiers. They're not soldiers yet. And I would tell them, like, hey, you're freaking weak. Like, if I'm out there grading a PT test and you're struggling to get through 20 push-ups, I am not here to praise your effort. I'm here to tell you, you need to freaking, suck it up, good buttercup. You need to freaking, do some training because you are weak. You are failing. This is not here to be feel good time. No. This is to let you know that this is booting your ass time.
Yeah, and that, I mean, you don't coddle people and expect excellence. When you coddle somebody.
Yeah. And don't get it wrong. So some people think, oh, well, that's all you do is, they're like, no, there's time for that. So there's different times. So there's time when we are mentors and we, we're giving them advice. It was when I was doing the court, going through there and in TRADOC, They were like, yeah, share your experiences with them. Let them know what you went through and give advice and a mentor. I'm like, there's a time for that, but when you're training, especially when it's in a combat or what we call the warrior task and drills, combat related environment, that's not the time to coddle. That's the time to freaking boot in your ass, because how you perform there is that this is all supposed to culminate to basically dropping you into a war zone. And when I was doing this, it was very common that we would have people. It was very common. All right, break.
Yeah.
Snap. Okay. So when I was doing this, it was very common for trainees to be deployed. Like, they'd leave me. Oh, sorry. When I was doing this, it was very common at this time for soldiers or the new recruits, initial entry soldiers, to leave us and get to their permanent party unit, and within 6 months they are in Afghanistan or they're in Iraq or they're somewhere. So there was not a lot of time for okay, Johnny, okay, Billy, okay, Susie, let me coddle you through this. It was a time for, hey, we got to turn you into a fighting force as fast as possible. And I was there, training people from the surge, and one of the reasons they were bringing people like us on there is because they wanted people who had the combat experience to better give the lessons learned to get these guys out there into the fight as quick as possible. And regardless of what if you don't like the military and soldiers and they stand up for you, you go fuck yourself.
Yeah, this probably isn't the podcast for you.
But it was definitely those times you have to coddle. So in this video, what I see is this guy who is pushing this recruit, and yes, as a female, yes, she's breaking down, but you know what? Females die in battle just like everyone else. She has to be prepared. You know what? Some people are going to look at this and be like, oh my God, I can't believe, this is why women shouldn't be served. No, I don't look at it this way. I just look at this as, cause she eventually gets through it. Okay. But this is to me an eye opener of what to expect, what you need to go through and what we expect of you.
Yeah.
If you're going to come through here, man, woman, Xerxes, Obzim, blah, 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 you have a standard, and we need to hold you to that standard. And if you can't perform it, we don't care about your damn feelings. I don't care about your tears. I don't care about anything. I don't care what happened in your life with your mom or your dad or anything. At that time, during that drill, you have to accomplish that mission. If you're unable to do that, then you are not fit to be in this army, because when you're downrange, it doesn't matter how you feel that day. It doesn't matter, there's gonna be incoming rounds and people trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And your job is to kill them. And if you don't do your job, other people die.
Yeah, and my whole thought process on it, and it's something that I even was trying to tell the guys I was in basic with, that. All right, so first I'm gonna tell you the story of one night in basic training. So, basic training, we had a guy who got what they call rollbacked, and so he was a few weeks ahead of us, and then they had to roll him back to our week.
Oh, we call it recycling.
Recycling, yeah, we call that too, but he didn't go all the way back. Anyway, so he was the trainee who did not exist. So he had his own bunk area in the far back, and it was essentially a placeholder. Like, they just needed him to sleep somewhere until the paperwork was done, essentially, is what it was. So nobody knew what he did, what happened, et cetera, but you know how it goes. People get curious, and then they try to get him to talk and stuff like that. So my dorm chief, we actually had the same recruiter. Name was Dewey, but he was this tall, big African dude, like African, right? And they made him dorm chief because he was the biggest guy, obviously, right? So he was enforcing the do not talk rule for this guy. And he came around the corner one day, and he caught like 3 of the guys around me, too. I'm like just folding my clothes, like, not catching me in no bullshit. I'm fucking close to getting out of here. So, no, but a few of the guys around me were trying to talk to him. Hey, what'd you do, man? Hey, man, what week were you in? Hey, what happened? Blah, blah, right? And so he came around the corner, caught him, and just look in his eyes, because, it was going to be his ass if they got caught. he pulled them into the bathroom and put a guard on the door. Right? So the bathroom at this time is like 2 large rooms, like one door, walk in, 2 large rooms. On the left it was the shower, on the right it was like toilets and sinks. But it was like a large open area. And man, all you hear is just yelling and just like shit crashing against the walls and everything. And then he about 30-45 minutes later, every one of those cats came out crying. I mean, dude, there was a dude that was sleeping next to me, right? His entire thing was like so fucking macho, right? So like I think it was from PA somewhere, but he was so macho. I mean, I came in and do security forces, man. I'm going to go be a sniper. I can sit still for 2 days if I have to. Like, I'm like, okay, fucking, why the fuck you join the Air Force then?
Yeah,
You can do this
like,
shit.
aren't you in the wrong?
Yeah, and he came out bawling like a bitch, like a little bit, and I was like, oh shit, what happened? And he's like, I can't tell you. It's like, I know what happened. They're like, dude, we got you. That's what happened. But that just goes to show you that is exactly what you expect. Yeah, there's going to be high stress, high emotions. Everybody fucking cries. I don't give a fuck. Everybody cries. There's if you cannot operate and function with words being yelled at you, how are you going to do that with bullets?
Yeah.
And that's kind of my mentality is, like, and that's the same thing I told dude after he was crying. I'm like, man, if you can't take the stress here, like I get if you slip up and you like do a mannerism or something, because I did that. Like I did a mannerism and I got fucking called up. I had to give fucking paperwork or whatever, which is 341. You probably don't know what that is.
No.
It's like it's a fucking Air Force thing, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of bullshit.
We
but
did push-ups.
yeah,
there was not much.
I don't think we were allowed to do push-ups outside of PT. It was, again, this is a fucking high level, like we're better than you snob shit in the Air Force.
Yeah, well, we used to have drill sergeants that like country music.
Oh.
Yeah. They would sit there and like, do you like country music?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like country music? Well, on your belly, on your back, on your back, on your belly, on your belly. And you had to keep up with them or he will make you start all over. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's happened a few times. And I've caused that to happen a few times. But I could tell you one time I was taking a class and we're going through stick lanes. Stick lanes are like training lanes. You're going through, there's an objective, they do a brief, they get a warning order, op order, they're going to move out, and they're actually out. We're out in the woods. We're actually doing our thing. And I have RD sims and pyrotechnics and stuff like that to
RD sims, that's
so it's basically a big firecracker. The thing of it this way, I pull a string and it goes boom.
Okay, gotcha.
Things of that nature, and other little pyrotechnics to help motivate the soldiers
to simulate fire or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and we had obviously procedures about how we do this. Obviously, I can't throw it next to someone or things of that nature, and there's safety involved with that too. So. One of the things we do is, now I'm invisible, so to speak, right? So sometimes we'll put another group out there to be their op for their opposing force, or there'll be other instructors or something like that. But as I'm walking with them, I'm invisible. Okay. Yeah. So I am not part of it. So I usually hang back or, something like that. And I let them work unless they're being slow or they're not moving. So we stopped one time, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. We need to be on the objective. We are not moving. Not moving. Not moving.
Bang!
No, and I was like, I looked at it, I was like, fuck it. They're not, and I was trying to give them help, like, hey, we need to get going. You need to get going. I'm not really supposed to help them. I'm there to observe, but I'm like, we need to get going. So I said, okay, fine. I was like, enemies found your position. They're dialing in mortars, and I'm just throwing already some boom, 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 boom. And I'm chasing them. They're running, incoming. And I'm just chasing them down there, right? So we get there, finally get them on the objective. And, they're doing their things. Of course, they're unorganized. They get wiped out. And we expect you. One thing people don't understand when you come in, especially in your training phase, we expect you to fail. You're not a goddamn ninja. You're not Rambo. You don't come into the military some special forces killer, 99 Zulu combat ninja. We expect you to fail. You are going to fail. That's perfectly fine. We just want you to do better.
Yeah.
We're going to point out why you failed. We're going to yell at you. We're going to scream. It's supposed to be stressful. I went through the same thing. I always tell the soldiers, like, I'm not putting you through anything that I didn't go through. And it's going to be stressful. We expect you to fail, and we're going to want you to do better, because they had to do these things 3 times. But we were sitting out there, and a couple of soldiers come out, and they start crying.
Oh, man.
And I'm at this point where I'm just like, it's been a long day, and they're sitting there, and we supposed to have this, hey, come talk to me if you have a problem, sort of thing. And so they decided to take it upon themselves to come talk to me. So it was
I like how it's just inciting trouble.
yeah. So I'm sitting there, and it's it's 4 of them, 2 males, 2 females. And they're coming, they're like, hey, at this time I was an NCO. So they're like, hey, sorry, can we talk to you? And I'm like, yeah, what is it? And they're like, well, we felt that, it was probably a little too much. You were throwing in the noises and everything. And I just kind of was like, I don't give a fuck. I look at them, I don't give a fuck. And they're like, what? But yeah, no, I don't care. I don't care. You're supposed to move. You didn't move. This is the consequences for your action. I said right now with simulations, when you get downrange, it's going to be real. Your inactions could have caused people to die. I don't care. Do better next time.
Boom.
And it caused. So they're gonna go tell Big Drill. They're gonna get another drill, and they're gonna come and fix me. And so they went to my battle, which I never understood why soldiers never thought about this. Like, we work together to train you.
Yeah.
All right. So we know each other more than we know you. We're with you a couple of weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks or so. But we are working with each other for years.
Yeah.
So they go to our NCOIC at the time, and they're like, oh, we told, and Soren was out there, and he was throwing all these RDSMs and all that, which he knows because he can hear them. And plus, oh, by the way, I have to account for all the pyrotechnics I use. So I have to keep the little pull strings, to say, hey, I expended this much. So, and plus he can hear it. It's obvious. They're not. It's not like little. It's really loud.
Right.
So they're going whining to him, and he goes, "Let me cut you off." He said, "Hold on, I don't give a fuck."
No, that's great though. That's great.
It was like, and they're like shocked, and he's like, and he gave them pretty much the same speech. It was like, look, this is what this is stressful. This is what we're preparing for.
Wow. If you would have done what you were supposed to do, it would not have been nearly as stressful.
Yeah, and when we got back, I huddled them all up, and I was like, all right, I was like, yeah, I always say I call it a tops off time. I'm like, all right, take your tops off. Yeah. We're gonna sit here, and we're gonna talk. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk. This is where we're gonna have that kumbaya moment, and I'm gonna tell you how bad you fucked up and how you can improve yourself. But I'm gonna give it to you straight, no chaser. And like that environment's good. That is a good environment for it. But I see people, when I see civilians outside looking in at something like this, getting back to the video, they're all like, oh my God, he's yelling at that poor girl. And da, da, da. Now, granted, I give it, he shouldn't have recorded it and put it online. That's where I'm going to smack his hand at.
Yeah.
That's where he gets a pee-pee smack.
Right. Okay.
But to court martial and go through this, I'm like, this uncalled for. I'm like, first of all, this should let you know what we expect from you. This shit's not easy.
No. There's a lot of people that don't make it through basic.
Exactly. They don't make it at all. There are a lot of people do make it through basic, obviously, but you don't see the attrition rate of some of the people, because this is actually, the military, or at least for the US, it has an attrition rate because it's a stressful job. It's a very easy job. It is very easy. You know what to do. Yeah. You know what to wear, where to be, what to do, because someone's always telling you. That's all mapped out for you.
Yeah. It is it is turnkey, right?
Yeah.
There's instructions for everything.
Every single thing.
Yeah.
Every single thing. There's a manual for it. There's a regulation for it. There's instruction for everything. But it's still high stress, because This is a job. I always tell people this is one of those jobs, like, those service jobs of being a firefighter, police officer, things of that nature, where you literally put your life on the line for other people.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not something that we're gonna coddle you with, because we are grooming you to go out and kill people, or or hopefully not be killed, but
to survive.
Well, no, because there's one thing I had to come to grips with when I crossed over into the officer lane, and realizing I was the guy making the decisions. Now, like, I'm the guy that's ordering you. Before, I was the guy told to tell you guys to make you guys move and do something. Now I'm the guy telling the guy, I'm the guy that was telling me back in the day
you just
to do
step
this
up
thing.
now.
And I used to tell people, I say, look, if I send 10 people into a building and 3 of them come out, and we got the building, that's a success.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's
shitty, but you got your objective.
You got the objective. And I always tell people, it's like the thing you have to remember, in all the creeds and oaths and stuff like that. I said, think about what they say. Yeah, we always talk about taking care of the soldiers. We do. But that's not the first thing. I said, name me a creed where that's the first thing.
No, mission first, right?
Mission first, soldiers always.
Yeah.
All right. Even the NCO creed, I still remember, my 2 responsibilities are uppermost in my mind: the accomplishment of my mission and the welfare of my soldiers. That's right. I still remember. Someone's like, "Oh, can you do the whole thing?" Yes, I can. But it's always the mission first. We're here to accomplish the mission first and foremost. Your welfare is second to that.
Yep.
All right, and that's when objectively, that's how it needs to be. Personally, with your feelings involved, you really go, that's wrong. The soldiers come first. Nope, because the soldiers' feelings and their welfare means shit if we don't accomplish the mission.
Absolutely.
And that's why when I look at this video, that's what I see. Her feelings didn't mean shit. Don't care. Yeah. She had to accomplish the task. She did.
Eventually
she did, but she has to accomplish that task.
Yeah. So the corporal the drill instructor, corporal drill instructor who recorded it and posted it online, PP smack, shame on you. Court martial, I don't think so.
That's a bit much.
That's a lot much. Yeah. As far as the girl breakdown,
I don't care.
Yeah, don't care. Like, keep pushing. I don't give a shit. Keep pushing. And that's something that, like you said earlier, like a lot of civilians that look into the military, they don't understand that concept. They're like, oh, but he made her cry, and like, you think bullets are not going to make her cry? You think mortars aren't going to make her cry? If yelling and telling her that she sucks at something that she sucks at, like, makes her cry, it can make her cry and break down, like, then just get out. Like, just get out. Just stop it.
To be fair, it is not just females that break down and cry in training. Trust me when I tell you, there's plenty of men.
I just shared a story of like 5 guys that broke down and cried.
Well, someone's gonna be like, "Well, this
from an African dude in a bathroom."
Dude, I made it. I think I've told you about the time I made the tough guy cry.
There's lots of times for that. You make me cry all the time.
Yeah, I made one guy cry. He was supposed to be the tough guy, in the platoon. And he found out he wasn't as tough as he thought he was. But then after he found out that I was a lot tougher, instead of like, okay, I took this L, I'm gonna roll on and act better, he cried like a little bitch.
Yeah, sympathy points, man.
Yeah, Diggs. I ain't forgot your ass either. I hope you remember this, motherfucker. You little punk ass bitch. No, I'm sorry.
I know who you. I forgot your name. Shit. So anyway, but the article that we are talking about, it's on dailymail.co.uk, and just the because we need to move on to the next one, but just the name is of the article is very misleading.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It's so misleading. Betrayed
God.
by her own corporal, foul-mouthed Army instructor faces court-martial after his video of female recruit being reduced to tears is viewed 250,000 times. Nobody gives a shit.
Betrayed by her.
Betrayed?
Own
no,
bitch.
No. You don't. One, and I'm just gonna say this, but we're gonna be on. One, not betrayed. She, if anything, betrayed. It was just the being recorded part with, again, slap on the wrist. Nobody gives a shit. as far as her breakdown and being viewed 250,000 times. One, she could control one of those things.
Her.
Yes. But again, this is another thing where we're holding women to a different standard than men. And because like we said earlier, if a guy was reduced to tears, it'd be on a fail compilation, and then nobody would care. But nope,
he wouldn't be facing court-martial if it was a dude.
No, because it would be seen as equality. Like, well, that's what they're supposed to do, right? They're supposed to yell at you and make you feel like crap until you're better. Like, oh, well, you don't understand it. Anyway, so still moving on with the UK. Yeah.
So this one is kind of bad, and this hits me the wrong way. So this shows the last, as we talked about the headline in the last article, how bad media or journalism is coming, how far it's gone, or how it's declining. This one really, really helps drive that in. Because over, a little while ago in the UK, they did a thing called the Day of Freedom. Now, this was in response to a YouTuber who goes by the handle Count Dankula, who...
We've actually covered him on our show, like the early episode.
Yeah, early episodes.
Episode 1 or 2, I think.
Yep. But just a quick recap, he was actually arrested, tried, and convicted for teaching his dog he was trying to turn his girlfriend's dog, Buddha, into the worst thing he can imagine, which was a Nazi. So he trained his dog to respond to commands like gas the Jews and Sieg Heil. It'd raise its paw and stuff like that. Now, he says in the video, I'm trying to turn this cute little dog into the worst thing I can think of. So obviously he doesn't think
very highly of Nazis.
Of Nazis.
Yeah.
And he's trying to chain it. It's a joke. It was a laugh and everything like that. Like, it's very funny, which ironically was referenced. So when you look into this more and you got to hear from it, he actually got the idea because during World War II, when the Nazis were in power, there was I think it was Polish guy who taught his dog to make fun of the Nazis to salute Hitler, and the Nazis hated it. Because he was doing it, it was a mockery.
Yeah.
So he would sit there and, he would tell his dog, sit. And when he'd say Sieg Heil, the dog would raise his paw to make fun of Hitler. And, Dankula was essentially doing the same thing. That was his inspiration. And the Nazis hated it. But now, instead of going, oh, okay, that was funny and stuff like that, he actually got arrested, tried, and convicted. 2 years of his life wasted. And you could tell that there wasn't as sincere because they end up just finding him 800 pounds, which he is not paid, and he's appealing. So what spawned from this was called the Day for Freedom, because unlike the U.S., the UK does not have the right to freedom of speech like in the U.S. Okay, right. And the freedom of, in the U.S., the First Amendment protects the freedom of speech, that the government cannot impede your speech. Okay. Yep. Now, that doesn't mean you're free from consequences when you say something bad, but no one can stop you. You cannot be arrested. If I was to make the same video that Count Dankula did and put it on YouTube, no one in the United States has the authority to arrest me under those grounds. Correct. Under the freedom of speech.
However, YouTube could take off the video.
YouTube can take off the video as a private company, but if I host it somewhere else, if I have my own
saying
website,
like no legal justification.
Yeah, there's no legal. I would not have a trial because I decided to teach my dog to do the Nazi salute. Right. Which I'm thinking of getting a German Shepherd and doing that. No, I'm not. I wouldn't do that, but it'd be funny, eh? So the Day of Freedom. So the show that this was actually a thing about free speech and free expression. They one of the speakers. Now, the whole scope of this thing, they had a lot of people from different fields. Okay, they had Tony Robinson, Milo Yiannopoulos, Lauren Southern, Sargon of Akkad, Count Dankula himself speak, but they also invited people. They were, the show that this was about free expression. This was a show of spectrum. So they invited two Muslims, who a lot of people in this group, that organized groups, actually disagree with vehemently, but they invited them to speak. There's a big kerfuffle over that whole thing, but they also invited a drag queen, a very well-known drag queen in the London area, named Vanity Von Glow to perform and speak at the Day for Freedom.
Mhm.
Now, anytime you have, let's be honest, the left right now is just it's pathetic. I can't believe how bad the left is looking right now, or left leaning people or extreme
Well,
left.
they're starting to eat their own now.
They are eating their own, because it's like the left used to be like, I always tell people, it's like in college, and everyone who knows me knows, in college I was like super liberal, super liberal. I'm like, look, if it ain't you ain't harming someone, you can do it. Go ahead and do it. Be who you want to be and all that. But however, don't think I have to go along with everything, because I have my like, hey, you know what? If you want to stick a feather up your ass and run around, butt naked in your house every day, you're fine to do it. Now, if you say, hey, you need to come over and watch me do it, nah, bro, I ain't doing that. Or you need to do it too, nah, bro, I ain't doing that. That's how I've always been. And so for this, when they invited this drag queen to come and perform, who gave a great speech. And when they performed, got like thunderous applause and cheers, right, for it, the show. And the whole speech from Van Gogh was about the freedom of expression, to be yourself, to express yourself how you wish to be, regardless of what it is. You express yourself, and you shouldn't face legal repercussions for that, which is a good thing. Well, apparently that was a wrong thing to do, because instead of, especially with the LGBT community in London, instead of rallying behind Van Gogh, Vanity, and saying what a great message that was and how we embrace it, nope, they blacklisted her.
Yeah,
they're blacklisting her. She
Outcast.
lost, because she didn't toe the party line, because she was on stage with Milo. I took a picture with Milo, who is also gay, married to a
gays. He's Jewish too, right? No,
he's a gay. Yeah, he's
Greek Jewish, gay, and loves black guys.
Well, he's married to a black man.
Oh,
he's actually he married his long-term boyfriend. He's actually married to a black guy, but he's racist, guys.
Right, and
so
he's also
Milo. Yeah,
he's also anti-Semitic.
He's anti-Semitic and racist. Because every time he has that black dick in his mouth, he does it because he hates it so much. He's like, yes.
Yeah. Now I'll say this about Milo, right? So Milo is a provocateur.
Yeah.
And that's how he got attention. Is he had to say and create such a controversy and such a fuss that people paid him attention. Now, once he actually spouts the facts and he starts, going over statistics and his input, or his reason for, his, what I'm saying, blah blah blah. Whiskey's talking right now. Like his theory of what it's actually saying, the statistics are actually saying.
Yeah.
It's I'm not gonna say it's brilliant, but I can see how
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
A lot of it makes sense. And to me, Milo is like a shock jock, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we take Howard Stern seriously for everything he does? No. But is Howard Stern wrong with everything he says? No.
Is Howard Stern banned from university campuses? Probably not.
He would be. Actually, at this day and age, because mind you, he's not as big as he once was, especially in the 90s and early 2000s. But if he was to do the stuff he was doing then, like now, because remember, back in the 90s and early 2000s, he was huge. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
He was the king of all media.
Yeah.
If he did the stuff, he's older now. He's starting to slow down. He's slowed down, and blah blah blah. But if he was doing the same thing, I think he would be banned too, because someone would get offended by what he says. And the thing about him, like Milo, and I talked about this earlier today, he's not apologetic. If he does something, if they does something truly wrong, of course, apologize. But if it's their opinion or their view they express, they're not going to be browbeated into submission. They're like, no, go fuck yourself. And I highly respect people like that, because go fuck yourself.
Wow.
But with Vanity Von Glow, brilliant message out there, about self expression and stuff like that. And the news, the media branded it like this. It says, give you one headline. It says, and this is from So Gay, London drag queen performs at far right Day of Freedom march. Right. The Day of Freedom was not far right. Matter of fact,
no, it wasn't.
Matter of fact, most of the people involved with it aren't even considered right wingers. There wouldn't be white. There are some, like Milo is definitely a conservative. He'd be on the right.
Right. Well, this is a classic case of them having a narrative and then pulling the facts from the story to fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Because, like you said earlier, there was Muslims and or there was Muslims that essentially had opposing viewpoints to the organizers. And then who else was in attendance? Milo, and then
Tony Robinson, Sargon of Akkad.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So just a lot of people that really kind of are huge advocates of freedom of speech.
Well, and here's a real quick thing to add into this, especially with Count Dankula, and this was all centered around him, right? They're really calling him a racist, bigot, and Nazi and stuff like that. This dude used to be Antifa. He used to be a commie. He actually has the communist star tattooed on his chest.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, I was." He said, I still consider myself left, but I used to be extreme left, like red flag wearing communist left." And it's like, so now, I've been this really left sort of dude. I made this joke, which was funny, and it went viral. He didn't expect it to go viral, but it went viral. And now everyone is tarring feathering me like, oh, I'm this, right leaning conservative, KK. I should just be in a hood and stuff like that. And it's like, he's nothing of the sort.
Right.
And it's just one of these things where now if we don't like it, it's a Nazi, you're a bigot, you're a misogynist, and they're using these terms so much and so often that they lose all their meaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now you can call anybody that.
Yeah, because they're saying
and it really is like, okay, that's like half everybody else that you've talked to in your life now.
Well, they're like, oh, you guys are homophobic, transphobic, you're anti-LGBT, and it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me the gay Jew that likes black people and the drag queen, which they invited, they invited this person here to perform.
And they gave them mic time and they airtime.
Gave them a platform, which you are now taking away.
Yeah.
Right. These guys are the ones that gave her, Von Glow, Vanity, and Milo.
And let me specify, they're not preaching a quote unquote far right ideology. They're preaching why freedom of speech and these freedom of expressions need to be essentially not just protected but also given, because in the case of the UK you don't really have it.
Right.
But they needs to be given to individuals so that they can essentially express themselves regardless of their background or their or the kind of their message, right?
Yeah. I mean, because in a prime example, this was brought up too. There was a group, a very, very right wing militant group of extreme right wing, which would have been considered far right back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
They got airtime on British TV, and they were free to express all their views. And when people were able to sit there and analyze their views and said, "Nah, fuck that, man. That shit's crazy," guess what? They fucking went away.
Yeah.
Because the best way to get someone to go away is to let them express themselves and let it be dealt with and analyzed in the public eye.
Yeah.
When you try to tell people to shut up, like the thing with trying to censor people and say you can't do anything, like, right? A bigot is still a bigot, even if you take his voice away. So let's say I go to someone and he's a freaking bigot. He's a racist. He's has all these negative views and stuff like that. If I censor his expression, that doesn't stop his views. He still acts upon those views, because all it is that though when I search for this guy or anything about this guy, I'm not going to see any of those things. All I'm going to see is all the good less horrible things he says, because he's not going to be able to express them. So I'd rather the bigot than the one that's hiding,
Right. Well, it's also like Cersei Lannister has always said.
I knew we were going to come to Game.
No, of course, Game of Thrones. But she said what?
When you silence someone, you're not
you're not telling the world
they're wrong.
They're wrong. You're telling them that you're scared of their message.
What they have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, yeah, you know what? Put it under scrutiny. Let people say what they want and put it under scrutiny.
So
if it can, just like academia, whenever you publish a paper and it gets peer reviewed, let it get scrutinized. You have to defend it.
You have to, exactly. So you remember one of our coworkers? He just defended. Last year he defended his doctoral dissertation, and he let us. He told me to read it and come after him. because you have to defend that. If you can't defend it, public. That's how we get scientific advancement. That's why peer review system in the scientific method, or the scientific community is such a great thing, because it allows people to attack your work, and if it can't stand the test of the scrutiny, then it's worthless. Any idea that cannot stand up to challenge is not an idea worth holding.
And that is kind of what we're seeing right now with the left and everything like that. So when I was talking about earlier, how right now this is a classic case of grabbing specific facts to fit your narrative. So on the socialgay.co.uk site, again, the title is London Drag Queen Performs at Far Right Day for Freedom March. And then the very first paragraph is, a well-known drag queen performed yesterday at the Far Right Day of Freedom March alongside Milo Yiannopoulos, Tommy Robinson, and Raheem Kassam, which, yes, is true. However, that paints the picture that it is a conservative or right-leaning panel. In reality, it was a very heavily spectrum, like very even.
Yeah, it was a very the
cast, essentially.
The people who spoke there, they span the political spectrum, the social spectrum, the sexual spectrum, the gender spectrum. There were men, women that were talking. Because I noticed they mentioned all men there. They didn't mention any of the women.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't mention any of the women that spoke there either. So it's like, okay, you are trying to paint this picture that this was one thing. It's like, basically, this was a march that let, organizers obviously picked who they wanted to come speak,
right.
but
their purpose, their objective was reasoned and balanced is what I see. Like, hey, no, we have no agenda except freedom of expression, freedom of speech, etc., like that. And we need to show a united front, which is what I see when you look at that. But when you have these propagated based news outlets and whatnot, it paints a completely different picture, and it's just omitting and misinformation. That's just the way that the media has I don't want to say begun, because they've been doing it since
they've been doing it for a while,
long time. But right now, especially with information so readily available with the internet and iPhones and all that, it's becomes desensitizing almost.
Well, you would think the media would know better when people could start fact checking you on the fly, right?
Right, but a lot of people aren't doing that, and especially people that check these websites are already in their social circles. They don't want to know anything else. Like, oh my God, this drag queen, she did that. That's bullshit. Milo's a racist. He's a racist.
But he's married to a black guy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
But he's still racist.
Yes.
So.
And Ben Shapiro's anti-Semitic. So.
I know the little short Jew is anti. And then, but they always go after people. And the difference between more people who are more right leaning than left leaning is when the left leaning guys sit there and say exactly the same thing. They're browbeaten into submission, right? Your Ben Affleck, your Matt Damons and stuff like that. They're browbeaten into submission. Whereas the more right-leaning people, they got more balls. Let's be honest, because they'll tell you to go fuck yourself. Oh, I'm a bigot. Why am I bigoted?
Yeah, and that's what Ben Shapiro and Milo's famous for.
Yeah,
because I've seen several videos of Milo at a college campus. Someone calling him a racist, homophobe, and he's like, "Really?
Yeah."
Please. He's like, the amount of Black Hawk I've had in my mouth, and you want to call me a racist? It's just like, I love it when he says that, because it's just like, you don't even know who you're talking to, man.
But it's about slapping the label, and like with this, like, okay, I don't think Vanity Von Glow is a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, or anything like that, or a misogynist. Well, I don't know, with some feminists, if you're just a man, you're a misogynist. Who knows nowadays? But and surely the thing about this is that they don't even understand how they are going against the person. Like, you're basically saying this person is not smart enough to evaluate a situation for themselves and make their own adult decisions. Oh, you performed with this. You were on a stage where this guy that we don't like was on the stage also. So therefore, you are just like them. It's like, no, that doesn't. Are you gonna say Obama was, is the same thing as John McCain or what was the other fucking
No,
dude?
and that's something that I'll give to like, like the candidates, obviously before Trump, but Obama and McCain, like that. I always viewed this, and it's probably romanticizing a little bit. I saw that as like a gentleman's duel
Yeah.
because they didn't really attack each other personally, and there was even a time where McCain defended Obama.
Actually, they defended each other.
Yeah, I mean,
because someone was making fun of McCain, where they were like, "Oh, he was a POW. I like war hero." I know Trump said it too, but someone else said, well, he was a POW. We shouldn't listen to him. And Obama was like, "Nah, this dude fought for his country and he endured a lot. You give him the respect he deserves."
yeah, absolutely.
They were on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but they were very civil.
Yeah,
and then they respect each
and it's
other.
about the respect. Yeah, respecting the humanity and the accomplishments of each other. You can completely have different ideologies.
Yeah,
like, I mean, hey, I think government should need to be run this way. No, I think it should be run this way. Well, we're at an impasse, but
the populace now is that there's so many schisms where they're like, oh, if you don't fit this exact mold, or if you don't say exactly what we want to say, we're gonna label you. And I always love it because they have the labels ready, because the first thing they'll say is you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're transphobic, you're Islamophobic, you're an anti-Semite. It's like you already have the labels.
Well, not only that, but then you go into into like the black community too, which you can speak to.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, like obviously, if you're black, you're a Democrat, or
you have to think
left.
a certain way, or you can't say certain things because if you don't, you're gonna be a coon or you're Uncle Tom. And then when I educate people on why those terms are offensive and that you should never degrade another one's blackness, they'll sit there. You can't sit there and preach pro-black to me and then use terms that are degrading of another, your fellow man's blackness. But then, you want to get tripped up over that bullshit. So yeah, no, there's so many schisms there, and it's because we are losing the respect. And I think, honestly, this comes with a lack. We're losing a lot of actual real life social skills, because most of our lives and our communications right now are electronically based.
Yeah.
Where we talk about the internet tough guy and all that stuff like that, where people feel they let
keyboard warrior.
Yeah, like some people, they'll let their dark side flow on the internet because there's no repercussions. There's many times I tell people, especially on Facebook, if you know me, I'm like, look, I'm sorry, did you forget who you're talking to? I will slap the shit out of you. I actually know you.
Yeah,
I will slap the shit out of you.
I will see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was like, there are real life repercussions to what's coming out your mouth. I'm not saying that. Well, fuck that. I will use violence when needed, but I'm just saying because we're losing these real life inner social skills, is that we're instead of learning to respect others people's humanity and civility, we're quick to try to cast them in the blackest thing and mouth off to them. And the thing that you forget, that's why I think we need to bring back dueling, is the fact that you have to respect people, because there's going to be a time where you're going to get up against someone who is not going to take your shit, and then what?
Well, that's why I like the what is it?
I just want to bring
the combat laws. What is it? The consensual combat.
Oh yeah, consensual combat.
Yeah, where you can have a copy of the referee, whatever.
Yep.
But like you can have a one-on-one fight.
Combat.
Yeah, mutual combat. Yeah,
mutual combat.
But you can have. Like some states have it.
Yeah, you can have a one-on-one fight.
I don't know how much they're actually enforced or even known about, but you could have a one-on-one fight, and when the fight's done, it's done.
Yep.
And no weapons, no nothing, but just your fisticuffs, which I'm all for.
Perfectly.
I'm all for. And if he's trained, he's a boxer, it's like, well, then the other guy should not have consented to that fight.
Well, it goes along with the idea of an armed society is a polite society, right?
Yeah.
Because when you realize that the other person might haul off and knock the shit out of you,
you're a lot more respectful.
You're a lot more respectful, and you're a lot more civil in your disagreements. Because not saying that violence is the end, and it's not to say that might makes right, but the thing that we have to learn when you disagree with someone is that you still have to be civil. This is why we are a society. This is why we have rules, because what's going to end up happening is that you're going to allow, by not being civil, you're going to allow more chasms. And then eventually we're going to get to that point where might makes right, because you're going to have the one group who is actually stronger than the rest, and they're going to fucking be like run roughshod over everybody, and there's nothing you could do with it. That's why I tell the left, stop fucking picking at damn right wingers. They're the ones that have all the fucking guns.
Right. Well, not only that, but they've started to eat themselves though, because like you said with Ben Affleck, like they're quick to call themselves out and, oh, you're not as far left as me.
Yeah, pretty much.
And stuff like that. So what they're doing is really kind of like, again, eating their own.
You say that, so
it's really,
and it's funny because there was what happened this week is a guy who won a journalism award, and he's really far left and stuff like that, and he tried to get out there and he's like, oh, you guys that were against me, the guys that actually created this award because it fought for ethical journalism reporting, he's like, I won. He's like, this should make you mad that I won this award. And like, no, you're doing the reason why that award was, conceived, because you're actually ethical in your reporting. That's why you won, right? But he tried to virtue signal doing that, like, oh, these guys, these dudes, they're mad because I'm winning this award. You're right. He thought he was going to get jumped on by his opposition. No, it was his own friends, his own side and they attacked him viciously, and it went from like, it literally was like, who was oppressed more? And it basically boiled down to, well, you're a white dude, so automatically you just need to shut up. And seriously, one girl, Hispanic girl, is like, well, you're a white guy, so you just need to shut up right now and realize that you do not respond. And I'm like, see, if that doesn't tell you anything about the left right now, the condition state of the left, that should be anything. There's at no point, no one should ever have to not respond to anything. If you address them, they have the right to respond. If you don't like it, tough shit. That's why I said we're losing our real life interactions, because at no way would she do that to him in his face if she knew that the shit would be slapped out of her mouth. And I'm telling you right now, people, I slapped the taste out your mouth. If you could be polite and we can discuss and we could disagree, but if you do some shit like, you don't have the right to respond, bitch, you don't have the right to breathe.
I will leave you WOO
without oxygen.
Well, with that, I think it's time to about wrap it up. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us. It's the episode number 13.
Ooh,
number 13.
Oh, we had a triple cast too? I don't know.
13, 3.
I don't know if that
and cheese. I don't know what I'm doing now. This is the whiskey talking. Anyway, right. Thank you guys.
Out. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Dose of Offensive Gentlemen podcast. We want to hear what you got to say, so leave us a comment below and hit that like button. Also, subscribe so you can get your future DOG updates.